Hello my friends and fellow VEDSies. So earlier in the month, Caleb challenged us to do a color-themed video, whatever we interpreted that to mean. And so I was trying to wrap my head around it. My first thought was that since I was going to be talking about Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, I could just make a joke in that video that was my color-themed video, but that felt cheap. At one point I thought I could do a cover of It's Not Easy Being Green and have some like nature shots in that, but then I really didn't want to do that, and then I did It's in Every One of Us instead, and so that idea went out the window. And so then I had the thought, sometimes songs have colors, right? Like, obviously some songs specifically reference colors, but there's also just songs that feel like certain colors. Like, I remember last year I mentioned Would You Be So Kind by Dodie had yellow vibe. And there's lots of songs that have similar types of vibes to them. So I figured I could listen to a bunch of music and try to find a song for each of the major colors. At one point I considered being like, oh, this is the light blue song, this is the like solid blue song, this is the dark blue song. And some colors definitely had that, and then some were much harder to do, you know? What song is light purple, for instance? What even is light red? Isn't that just pink? I feel like pink gets its own type of song. So I just picked one song for each color, though I definitely had runner-ups in the process. And I definitely want to hear what y'all think about this, because so much of this is purely subjective. And so let's get going with red. To me, red is rock, and it's horns, and it's drums, and it's all sorts of big and bombastic stuff. And so I chose Bang by AJR. It's a real fun song with just a lot of energy, and it feels very red to me. And obviously it felt red to people involved with it, because in the music video the guys are all wearing red, so it's not just me. Next we're moving on to orange, for which I chose Curses by the Crane Wives. Orange was a weird color for me to try and wrap my head around. A lot of the stuff that I was looking at was just stuff with autumn imagery, and that works. It's not perfect, but it works. But Curses has this jazziness to it that felt very orange to me in a way that's hard to explain, but it's like not quite dark and deep and rich like a red can be, but it's not bright and fun like a yellow. It's somewhere in between, so it's an orange. For yellow, I had so many songs. Yellow is a color I gravitate to, obviously, and so I had a lot of yellow songs. However, I don't think it gets more yellow than Upside Down by Jack Johnson. And I'm not just saying that because the Curious George soundtrack was a yellow album cover. But the song is just bright and light and has all of this curiosity and youth and warmth to it, and it just radiates sunshine and happiness and exploration and all these different things that feel very yellow to me. Green was another color where I could have gone in a lot of different directions depending on what type of green I was thinking about. Because like lime green songs were very different than like emerald green songs. So I tried to stay somewhere in the middle with a pretty standard green song. And so I chose Soldier Poet King by the Oh Hellos. Something about this song really speaks to people as an adventure fantasy song. I know it's about biblical figures, but in my head, every time I hear it, I still think fantasy adventure music. And that is a very green concept to me. You know, walking through grassy fields on a road with your bard playing a little ditty to keep you entertained, harvest festivals in town squares after saving the village, sitting in a tavern drinking a pint, singing with your buddies. That's the imagery that this song evokes for me, and all of that is very, very green. My list for blue was very long, and so one of the things I did was I just cut out any song that I thought was blue because it explicitly had water imagery, which cut out pretty much every song. One of the ones that was left, though, was Two Birds by Regina Spektor. Now, there are a multitude of reasons why I'm definitely biased in saying this is a blue song. The album cover has a lot of blue on it. The song Blue Lips is on the same album. Both of those have been associated with Brina and Parsi, and he is blue, and their ship name is Bluebird. I'm fully aware that this is probably the most subjective of an already pretty subjective concept. However, there's something really blue about the song. The idea of birds and the sky and this sort of bright but also melancholy feel to the song. It's blue. It just is blue. Purple for me is about richness, and it's about passion and emotion, and it has a lot of the fiery qualities of red but the sadness of blue. And one of the songs that really highlights both of those things combining perfectly to me is Haunted by Taylor Swift, my favorite Taylor Swift song. It has this rock orchestral sensibility to it with a really sad concept. I mean, it's typical early Taylor Swift in the sense that it's, I thought we were gonna be a thing and now we're not and I'm sad, but there's something really heightened about it in a way that makes it seem far more dramatic than your average early Taylor Swift song. It feels like it could fit in with the Phantom of the Opera soundtrack. It's just pure concentrated melodrama, and that's Purple. I feel like I'm cheating with Pink because I'm cheating with Pink. It's Popular from Wicked. It was either going to be Popular from Wicked or it was going to be Fabulous from High School Musical 2. There's just so much Pink imagery in my head, and what it is associated with is fabulous, divas, glitter, glam, feathers, all of that sort of stuff. It's pretty girls with blonde hair and pretty makeup and pretty dresses, and that's what Popular is about. That's just what the song is about. So yes, I am definitely cheating, but I also can't think of a single song more Pink than Popular. Brown is an interesting color. I think you can read a lot into it. The things I personally read into brown as part of music are natural, aged, and kind of worn. So when I was looking at brown stuff, I had a lot of older stuff, a lot of sadder stuff, a lot of more worn down acoustic stuff. And If You Could Read My Mind by Gordon Lightfoot really encapsulated all of that. It's a sepia song, if that makes any sense. I asked my dad while I was working on this what songs he associated with certain colors, and he had this story about driving out on a slick road in a dark car and having that be what he associated with black, and it was In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins. Which is really funny because I have very similar imagery for a very different song. You see, when I think about Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen, I think about slick roads and dark skies and leather and dark metal and all of these very black things. It's an incredible song, and to me it just resonates with all of these beautiful dark things that are all black. And so whenever I hear the song, I imagine all of this really evocative imagery that Bruce Springsteen put in there, and it's all black. My white songs were ethereal and dreamlike and very soft and gentle, and so I chose Close to You by the Carpenters to really exemplify that. It has a floating sensation to it, and floating and clouds and wings and angels all is sort of jumbled together in my brain with the color white. And so those are a bunch of the major colors as songs. There are definitely a lot of other colors as well, but I felt like with this, we got all of the main ones. This felt like a natural amount of songs to include. I feel like any other colors I could have come up with would have been a little more niche, and it would have been harder to justify including, turquoise or chartreuse or anything like that. Although if you have songs that are those colors in your brain, I would love to hear that. If you have songs or associations that are wildly different, I would love to hear that. I'd love to hear anything from y'all about this one. All right, my friends and fellow VEDSies, I will see you tomorrow.